All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the CHB Podcast. Today we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Relly Hall back again. How are we, mate? What's going on?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. I think you're probably on nearly every second or third episode now of the show. You become like a regular guest.
It's nice on here, man. I like it here.
But I mean, with NBA though, there hasn't exactly been a whole lot to talk about. But I thought we'd start off with some Lakers stuff because the Lakers have kind of they've been moving on. Seems like they might not be trading Russell Westbrook now. I don't know what's going on there. They're already negotiating with the Utah Jazz about more trades, but I've got a report here and I want to get your thoughts and opinions on it because it's saying that the Jazz and the Lakers are having ongoing trade talks centered around Bojan Bogdanovich, and that is being reported by Tony Jones of The Athletic. They're also saying that they're trying to ship players like Jordan Clarkson, Malik Beasley, and they think they can get a first out of each player. Do you see Bogdanovich going to the Lakers? Is that a move that could possibly be happening?
I don't really see him going to the Lakers, but I do think that'd be a great move. Lakers is able to get that done. You got to think, man, the Lakers right now is desperate, bro. But I just don't think they got the assets. Like I do know Danny Ainge said he want a first round pick, but I don't know if the Lakers gonna do that, bro. Like I don't know if they're gonna give up one of their two first round picks for him. Not this early, especially when you're talking about trying to get Kyrie, unless they out of that.
Yeah. Is that the consensus? Are they out of that move for Kyrie? Because I think that's what they've been saying, that Kyrie will play out the season and then I think look at his options in free agency.
I think well, I think a gamble would be all right, we gonna trade for role players and assets, and then we're gonna beg on the fact Kyrie doesn't resign with the Nets. But I think that's a real huge gamble right now, man. Yeah, man. I think with Kyrie Irving, bro, like it's kind of tough because it's like you did all of this to get Kyrie, and you about to trade one of your two first round picks to get Bog. And I understand he's a good player. I'm not gonna fake that's a really great player to have. But it's a huge gamble though, because it's like, all right, do you really trust in the fact that Kyrie by the end of the offseason is going to make up his mind that he's going to leave the person who he say is his best friend to come to LA? Like I know his rumor is like you hear all this stuff talking about Kyrie bought a house in LA, but
Mm.
Kyrie's rich. Like it's so like almost the whole league got a house in LA. That don't mean he gonna go there.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Kyrie is probably one of the most unpredictable players we've seen in the NBA to date. And the gamble on that unpredictability on Kyrie, that might
Yeah.
not be a good idea, man.
You never know what is going to happen. He could literally sign. Kyrie's the type of dude to go, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go run point guard in Cleveland off the bench or some shit. The dude is that unreliable. He could literally do anything. Like, he could wake up next morning and just be like, you know what, I owe the city of Cleveland. I'll go back on the minimum. He's that dude. He is that dude. He obviously that's not going to happen, but like Kyrie is the guy that could. I agree with you. He's very unpredictable. For all we know, this could have just been a big ploy for Kyrie to, play out the season, play some good basketball. And if the Nets do something, don't be surprised if Kyrie signs like some max contract with the Brooklyn Nets again. And then if you're the Lakers, then all your hope has just kind of gone out the window. But I think that's what a lot of people are saying is if they can't get Kyrie and they're gonna keep Westbrook and stuff again, wouldn't this season be a waste? Like, would it just be another waste season? Because they didn't really improve at all. They got younger, which is cool. They brought in Pat Bev. So maybe there is some improvement, but it's not enough to say this team is 100% going to be making the playoffs. It's not enough to say anything at all. But then you've got Bojan Bogdanovic right there. Like, he is right there. The issue is, how do they match up salaries with him? So I still think he's on $18 million. It'd obviously have to be the Westbrook situation where Westbrook gets traded and a first round pick. You could probably bring in Bogdanovich. I think Jazz would honestly throw in a Jordan Clarkson as well. But is Jordan Clarkson and Bogdanovich that much to like send
Yeah.
you over the edge? I'm not confident of it.
Like, is that really worth it? I agree with you, man. Like, as much as, well, even though you got Russell Westbrook technically on a deal, but are you really willing to give up Russell Westbrook for that price? Like, let's be real. Like, Russell Westbrook, yes, we know he had a season that was not very memorable, but it's Russell Westbrook. Like, you want to plug Bog with Russ, with this roster, because, like, as you say, like, you trade Russ for him, like, you literally, Russ still got star power in this league, whether you like it or not. And it's like, right now, you make that trade, yes, that might kind of be better as a fit, but, like, long term, you basically just got a team of role players and gambling on the fact that Anthony Davis stay healthy.
Yeah.
So, and if we really want to be real, is this going to be Brown with a whole bunch of role players in LA? And I agree with you. Do you think that Los Angeles Lakers team can be competitive or even make it to the playoff? Honestly, I can see that not happening if you make that trade right there, especially when you give up all your assets basically to position yourself to even be in position to get a Kyrie Irving. But hey, Los Angeles Lakers, I think they're in a real tough situation, man.
Yeah. I don't know how they messed this up this badly, because remember when in 2020 it was like LeBron was kind of painting himself out to be now the second option. He wanted AD to be that number one guy, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm going to take a backseat to AD," all this type of stuff, right? 2 years passed like that, and all of a sudden LeBron James is doing the massive carry job, similar to what he had to do in 2018 season with the Cavs, 2019 season with the Lakers. AD is nowhere to be seen. He's injured all the time. And then you've got Russell Westbrook out here who he's not it. Like, I don't know. And I know there was some goals that they had this offseason, right? They had boxes they wanted to tick. Add more defense, move Russell Westbrook on, add shooters, youth, this and that, right? They've only ticked half of those boxes, and a lot of those boxes weren't hard to tick. Do you, like, seriously, if I were to ask you this question, do you think the Lakers brought in any better shooters? Like, have they really gotten that much better when it comes to shooting?
No.
Yeah.
No. I think that to that point, I think the only person you can kind of say they brought in that maybe a upgrade shooting wise is probably Thomas Bryant. Like, I think he kind of fits somewhat in the need, but the problem is anybody who's watched Thomas Bryant or haven't watched Thomas Bryant because of one consistent thing, he keeps getting hurt. But when he's not hurt, he's a decent rim protector. He can rebound the ball well, and he can stretch the floor. But he's just like Anthony Davis. He's glass. His body is straight glass. Like, literally, he'll give you 10, 20 good games, but then he's going to be out for the rest of the season, right? And it's like, is that enough? No, you lost Malik Monk. You might lose Carmelo Anthony. Those was two of your best shooters.
Yep.
You added Lonnie Walker, who's not a shooter. You added Thomas Bryant, who's an okay shooter. You got Patrick Beverly, but unfortunately, when you got him and people is already saying he's your best shooter on the team, that's a problem.
That is a very big problem. Very big problem.
It's like the Los Angeles Lakers went into this offseason knowing what they needed, knowing what LeBron James has always been successful with, and said, you know what, we're going to do the total opposite, right? And I just don't think that is what they needed to do this offseason. This is why I would probably give them like a C- or a D+ this offseason, because they didn't do what they needed to do. This team is actually this team may be worse. You somehow managed to find a team with even less shooters than you was last season. Like, the players you needed to keep, you lost them. Malik Monk, Carmelo Anthony potentially. Like, as soon as Carmelo had the chance, you should have signed him just off the premise of he was it. He was literally your only shooter, and now you got to gamble on Austin Reeves having like a crazy development year.
You're exactly right, though. They were the only two dudes they needed to, like, somewhat retain. And I don't mind letting Malik Monk go. He went for $9 million. But as long as you replace him with someone on similar money that can do more of a role, right? So if you lose Malik Monk, what do you want out of the player you're going to replace him with? You're going to want a dude who you're going to pay $9 million to, similar to what Malik Monk was on, what he just signed with. But you're going to want a dude that you're going to pay to be a very good three-point shooter, just a catch and shoot dude, and maybe add some perimeter defense. So what do they do with that money? They go and sign Lonnie Walker, which has been noted to be a very bad three-point shooter over his career in the NBA. His shot creation is very, very all over the place. The only thing Lonnie Walker probably does is, I feel like low-key is a good perimeter defender. They actually did fix some of their perimeter defense this offseason. Toscano Anderson, they brought in as well. He should add some defense there. Pat Bev, perimeter defense, and Lonnie Walker, perimeter defense. But you have no three-point shooting still. You have no interior defense because AD's never there. And you can't tell me that Damian Lee or whatever his name is going to fulfill all that. I don't know. I just feel like there are so many holes here. And they decide to keep Rob Pelinka. Do you think, was it finally time for them to move on from Rob Pelinka? Because I've heard the reason they haven't sacked him, and they probably never will, is because apparently he's very close with Jeannie Buss, and it's like impossible for him to be sacked at this point. Like, it's like firing a family member,
If I was them, like you said, I understand that too. I heard that too. That's one of the main reasons he didn't get fired. But realistically, he has to look at what he's been able to build in these past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I know, because he didn't get Bron there. That was Magic Johnson. He didn't get Anthony Davis there. That was Magic Johnson. So when you really look at what has Rob Pelinka done for the Los Angeles Lakers, has the team gotten better under his supervision? No. Yes, they won a championship, but all of those moves was made by Magic Johnson before he stepped out. This was the team he built. And then if you look at after they won the championship, what did Rob Pelinka do to improve on this roster? He didn't do that. Yes, he did make smart moves. He realized, yes, all right, let's try out Malik Monk. That was a great move. You got him on a budget. You got Carmelo Anthony there, even though that was more so a LeBron James power move than it was a Rob Pelinka move. But all right, let's give you credit for you got Carmelo, you got Malik Monk, and then you traded for Russell Westbrook. This was probably one of the big moves from Rob Pelinka. And you look at how that team literally went from a championship contender team to a team who literally had 3 All-Stars on it and didn't even make the playoffs.
It's also
that's the
LeBron.
problem.
It's also LeBron. They got to stop giving this dude executive decisions. Maybe, I actually kind of feel bad for Rob Pelinka sometimes, because I heard there was a rumor he actually wanted DeMar over Westbrook, but LeBron edged him to do the Westbrook move. Stop listening to him. You're the GM. The GM is not the GM. Stop listening to the guy. And there are so many better dudes you could have signed. One that comes to my head already. Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson signed for the exact same money Lonnie Walker did. Kyle Anderson is a better interior dude. He's a way better three-point shooter. He might be the slowest guy nearly in the NBA, but he does every single thing better than Lonnie Walker, other than perimeter D. Right? Why? Why was Lonnie Walker, and who was offering Lonnie Walker more than $4 million to join their team? I just don't get it. And there's other decisions too. There's one player who would have been perfect for the Lakers. I don't know how this guy hasn't been signed yet, but I think I've spoken about him to you many times. There's a center out there right now who is telling every single team that he just wants to start at center. He's only going to join your team if he can start at center, right? And that is Demarcus Cousins. Apparently, he's had 20 different offers to come off the bench. He doesn't want to do that. It's obvious that that's true because the Nuggets ended up bringing in DeAndre Jordan, which, it's obvious Cousins is way better. But the Lakers had a starting center role to fill right there. And you got to do DeMarcus Cousins, who, I forgot it was the Nuggets. The last half a year that he played on the Nuggets or whatever, he played really, really well. His interior defense is a little bit behind, but I'm pretty sure his three-point shooting got back up. His interior offense, everything like that was really, really good. but the Lakers still picked Damian Jones over Demarcus Cousins and players like that. You cannot tell me that any of those players are better than Demarcus Cousins. I don't get it. So
I agree with you.
yeah,
The Lakers should have odd. I would have odd Demarcus Cousins. Shoot, I would have odd JaVale McGee. I wouldn't even have let Dallas even get the chance to get JaVale. I would have got those type of budget players because they wasn't expensive for y'all. Then I would have probably re-signed Malik Monk. Would have got Carmelo Anthony because y'all still got like, for what it's worth, the Los Angeles Lakers had its core players. The players that left the team was not the issue. It was the opposite. The core players that left the team was the players that they needed to multiply in order to make this team better. Yep. Unfortunately, I agree with you, man. Like, you got Demarcus Cousins in free agency, and he has no business being there. Why isn't the Los Angeles Lakers taking a chance when y'all are a team that missed the playoff? Like, y'all took a chance on Patrick Beverly with Russ.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you understand? Like, when you have a team like the Lakers who's championship driven like the Lakers, whose aspirations is championships, and you got LeBron James, you have to make moves like this. These are impactful moves. Like, you telling me Thomas Bryant was a better signing than Demarcus Cousins? Like, a lot of people can't even really vouch for like the last time Thomas Bryant actually played a game of basketball, let alone talk about what his value truly is to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I understand. I know Thomas Bryant used to play for the Lakers. I understand Thomas Bryant, what he brings, but let's be real. He still is not better than Demarcus Cousins, what Demarcus Cousins bring. Because, yes, you could say, all right, you start him, but when you realize that Anthony Davis is probably going to miss 30 of your games anyway, you think about it, that is a huge not transaction. That's a huge thing that helps the Los Angeles Lakers long term. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and then, well, assuming y'all would have got like a play like JaVale McGee too, that covers your defense too. So it's like, I don't know. I think the Lakers right now is in a situation where they're trying to double down on defense, but it's like, it's just so much defense is gonna do for the Los Angeles Lakers when you look at who's in the West, and especially when you see the Clippers, they definitely might be the team in LA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Clippers could be the best team nearly in the West now. Like, people don't understand their depth is insane. Their depth, they have like, their 13th man is better than the Lakers' 8th man. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane. Robert Covington's probably their 12th man or something right now. He would start on the Lakers. They built a really good team. But I don't know what the Lakers are doing. Why you don't sign DeMarcus Cousins, give him a chance, I don't know. I don't think Malik Monk was necessarily a bad move, letting them go, because I thought they were going to sign someone who could fulfill a better role, but they just didn't, so now it is a bad move. Lonnie Walker is already less of a three-point shooter than what Malik Monk was. It's very frustrating. I can't even imagine how it would be like to be a Lakers fan right now, but there's been a team, we'll move on from the Lakers, there's been a team that's been making a lot of noise right now, and they were the team that, I don't know how I want to kind of segue into this, but there's a team right now that I actually have a very strong opinion on, who they have a lot of players who've been saying some stuff recently, one being their center. He's been kind of talking the talk. Has he walked the walk yet? I'm not sure. But there's this team in the NBA, and I know you might disagree with me on this, but there's a team in the NBA that I legitimately think could not only be a top 3 seed in the West, but I also think could be the number 1 seed. Now, I'm not saying they will be the best team, because I don't know if they can do what a lot of people think they can in playoffs. But the team I'm going to talk about right now is, I legitimately think, and this could be a big call, but I legitimately think the Minnesota Timberwolves could be a top 3 seed this season and could push for the number 1 seed. If you look at this Minnesota Timberwolves team, the only thing they don't have is playmaking. Their starting 5 is stacked, like legitimately stacked. It is built for the regular season, right? You got D'Lo right there, who's going to average you 18 and 5 a game at point. Anthony Edwards, 6'7" perimeter defensive dude who can shot create, who's probably going to go for like 23 a game this year. Be, I think, one of the best defenders in the league. Jaden McDaniels at the 3, elite 3-point shooter, great defender. Cat at the 4, Gobert at the 5. Am I wrong for saying that the T-Wolves could be a top 3 seed?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't like it?
And I like the Timberwolves. I've always liked the Timberwolves. I don't know why. It was just something about them. But when you look at the West, right? Like, you got teams like the Suns that's going to be better. The Grizzlies that's going to be better. You got Golden State that's going to be better. Hold
on. I don't know about Golden State in the regular season. In the playoffs, 100%.
They're going to be better.
You think they're going to win more than the...
Yes. They got better role players. They start lineup is a lot more seasoned. Yep. Then you got, I said the Nuggets. You got the Clippers, obviously. That's going to be better. The only thing that's going to hurt them is if they get hurt in the regular season.
T-Wolves will win more games than the Nuggets. They'll get there.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think the Minnesota, contrary, and I'm going to be the total opposite. You say top 3, I think they're going to be a team that's scratching for the play-in again.
Yep.
So, I think they're going to be an 8th, 7th seed.
Do you know why I'm bringing this up? Because I think it was on ESPN I saw it, and I can't remember who the 2 dudes were. But one guy was saying they would be a top 3 seed, and one guy was saying they would be a barely a play-in team. And I was thinking, damn, that kind of sounds like me and Relly. We have complete different views on this. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they were the 7th seed last season, right? They got better in every single way this offseason. Every single way possible, except maybe playmaking. Right? And I'm saying this right now. Rudy Gobert, like, we got to remember the Jazz have been like top 4 seeds a couple times in the last couple years. You know what I mean? Rudy Gobert, you got the best interior defensive guy now in the league. And the biggest knock on the Timberwolves was that they had no interior defense because Cat didn't want to do it. But what Cat has always been able to do is actually be all right on the perimeter. You move Cat to the 4 now, where he goes and guards the perimeter. He'll do much better there. At the 3 now, you have a natural small forward in Jaden McDaniels who can shoot above 35, 36% from 3. Really good perimeter dude, really good interior dude. And then my one is Anthony Edwards at the 2. Anthony freaking Edwards at the 2. You got a 6'7" dude who was already one of the best perimeter defensive guys at small forward. Now he's at shooting guard. He's going to be playing on 6'1" to 6'4" guys at shooting guard. And this dude's 6'7", 6'6", can move around like an absolute beast. I think this Timberwolves team and their bench, like Taurean Prince, he's a solid dude off their bench. You got Kyle Anderson as well, who I mentioned earlier. Really, really good guy. There's a lot of depth on that bench as well. I don't see why they couldn't be a top 3 seed. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like any of those players, touch on wood for them, where even is wood somewhere over here, they don't really have any injury history either. That's a relatively healthy team. My knock is on Phoenix. What happens if Chris Paul does a hammy? Right. Done right there. You got DeAndre Ayton, who they didn't even want to re-sign the dude. They wanted to trade him. Right. Golden State are more of a playoff team than they are regular season. Memphis, did they get much better this offseason? I'm not sure. They'll still be around that mark. You got Utah, who dropped dramatically now. The Nuggets, I don't think, are better than the Timberwolves at this point in time. I don't know. Something about it tells me that they're going to be reaching for that top 3 seed. I've gone in depth.
I can't see it. I really can't. I really can't see it. Like I can see them going on a run in the regular season. I can't see it. I cannot see it, man. I can't see it. I think Rudy Gobert will give them – don't get me wrong, though. I think their interior – because they have been lackluster on the interior defense side. But I just don't think – I think everything everything literally is going to be based off of how well Anthony Edwards developed this season. To me, I think that is what's going to indicate how the Minnesota Timberwolves play. But I don't think the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, as constructed, is better than those teams I've named. Still, I don't think they're better than Denver. I don't. Like, if they're healthy, I really don't. I don't think they're better than the Clippers healthy. And I don't think they're better than Golden State. And I do not think – and, Memphis really didn't really do anything offseason either, but I think they gambled on their development. I think that's why they didn't really make as many moves. I don't think they're better than Memphis if they take another step. Even though Dallas don't have the star power as Minnesota does now,
their depth is pretty good.
I still think, I think Dallas still has a team that we seen what Dallas did last season, and then we seen what they did in the playoffs. Yeah. And they added Christian Wood and JaVale McGee. They literally plugged in two players they desperately needed for a cheaper price. So, I don't know, man.
And look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Timberwolves are better than any of these teams. I'm just saying they'll do better in the regular season. This Timberwolves team has been very built to be a regular season team. They've got dudes that have only been able to succeed so far in the regular season. Playoffs, I'm not sure, but when I look at their depth as well, just their forward depth is insane. Kyle Anderson, Jaden McDaniels, Taurean Prince, you got Cat at your new starting power forward, and he'll also, like, when Gobert goes to the bench, you move Cat to that starting five, you know what I mean? Or he gets to 5 minutes when he's off to the bench. They've got dudes all around. You got that Jalen Noel dude. He's still only 23. He shot nearly 40% from three last season, averaging around 9 points. They brought in Bryn Forbes, who's a decent dude as well. I feel like he's gone under the radar for most of his career as well. Austin Rivers, I've always liked low-key. I'm pretty sure they brought him in too, from remembrance. It's a really solid team. They have a really good 10-man rotation. Their 11 to 15-man rotation's not that great, but as I mentioned earlier, they don't have necessarily dudes with like a big injury history, if that makes sense. But I don't know. We could also, the Cavs are kind of a parallel. Like, could the Cavs be a top 3 or 4 seed in the East next season? They've built their team. I think they've got like a similar thing going on too, where I guess we can say the Cavs actually did it before the Timberwolves. They've got the 2 7-foot dudes before the T-Wolves did it. But if I'm going to say the T-Wolves could be a top 3 seed in the West, do you think it's appropriate to say the Cavs could be in the East as well, a top 4 or top 3? Because I know that's been a big debate amongst people.
The Cavs can be. Well, sure, I'm a little biased, but the problem with that is, though, the East is
stacked.
Oh my God, the East is a monster. We have never seen such a overpowering East ever. Not like this. So much so where the East is significantly better than the West. And that's the first time we can confidently just say that. Last year, it was still kind of up in the grab. So even though I was saying the East was better than the West, but this season in particular upcoming, it's no doubt in my mind. Like, if the Cavs get 3rd, 4th seed in the East this season, they earned it. Because they have to play against literally every single team is a team that you can legitimately look at and say, yeah, they're a competitor for at least playing. Like, you got Miami, you got Boston, you got Milwaukee, you got the Sixers, got the Raptors, can't sleep on them, got the Bulls if they're healthy.
Cavaliers,
got Brooklyn still.
Brooklyn. And then don't sleep on Detroit. Like, Detroit have actually built a really solid team.
And, well, I don't know how, even though the Washington Wizards, we always, but the Wizards, if they play how they move, how they got the players, they got the players to make some type of noise out there in the East.
The Knicks also brought in Brunson. Decent dude. I'm not saying they're going to be anything higher than a plane, but they still took a dude from the West. That's another dude gone from the West.
I'm looking at this. The only team I'm looking at and saying, all right, I'm not sure if they're competitive is probably the Magic.
Orlando, yeah. Yeah.
Because even the Pacers, the Pacers has historically, like, they may not have had like complete star power, but they've always managed to get that one player that's keeping them maybe 2-3 games under 500. And if they are strongly under 500, they've had good games. All of them has been kind of like, all right, if they have one more healthy season, I can see this. But like you said, the only team that just looks piss poor is the Magic. Everybody else in the Eastern Conference is strong.
And you can name at least 4 teams in the West that kind of look like, they're like the second worst team in the East, sorry, could probably be better than like the 5 worst teams in the West. Like that's the reality of things. Like Detroit could still somehow be the second worst team in the East this year and could literally make the play-in like straight up in the West. Like it's crazy, but with the Cavaliers, in my opinion, the Cavaliers have edged themselves over the Bulls. They've edged themselves over the Raptors. I think there's about 4 or 5 teams still better than what the Cavaliers maybe are. But the thing is, though, if injuries happen, this and that, you got the off-court stuff, like what's going on with the Nets, this and that. Cavaliers could move up to that 3 or 4 seed. It's not impossible. Literally anything can really happen now. But then we got to say as well, the Cavaliers, we're noted to have a major ton of injuries. We always are in like that top 10, top 5 injury list, like nearly every year. It's like, I mean, we just can't get dudes on the court to stay healthy. I don't know what it is, but last season we struggled majorly with injuries.
Yeah.
So,
and this is why the season is going to be important. Like we got the assets, we got the depth.
Yep.
So this is going to be strongly on our development, strongly on JB Bickerstaff. We really can't blame Kobe Altman if it does go bad, because Kobe Altman has been working his man. I can't blame him. Kobe Altman been working his hand. Yes, we still need a small forward, but when you look at this roster, like you said, this is probably the second most complete roster, in my opinion, outside of probably the Clippers.
That's not a bad call.
Like, top to bottom.
It's very good. Only issue is maybe small forward. It's still like, is Okoro that dude? I'm not exactly too sure. We'll have to wait to see how Okoro develops this season. We literally don't know what he's going to be. I mean, all he needs to do is shoot threes and play good perimeter D. That's all he's got to do. But will he do it? I don't know. He might not even be the starting 3. They might literally go with Lamar Stevens.
Shoot, I might go with Lamar Stevens for size.
Yeah.
That's important. Like, Isaac Okoro's he's a great defender. It's just like I've told people literally, like when we got him that first game, we seen him play. Like, Ice is always going to be limited, and it's not his fault. Like, he's a good defender, but when you play him at the small forward, and you play him against the elite small forward, and in the East, he's playing against almost all of them. Especially if we talking about playoff contender, you talking about Giannis, he got to see. You got KD, he got to see. Like,
Tatum and Brown. Yep.
That's a prop. Like, he's not guarding those type of forwards. He just don't have, it's limits to what his body is able to do. He can guard the Zach LaVine's at the forward position.
He does a very good job and capable job at guard players like Bradley Beal as well. Bradley Beal always struggles every time he plays on him. But if you're looking at a dude like Lamar Stevens, not only is he a way better interior dude that can guard dudes like LeBron and I think a Tobias Harris, a KD, and that much better, he's also got a good mid-range. I feel like people really undervalue Lamar Stevens as a shooter. He's got a really nice mid-range. He's really crafty around the basket. His 3-point percentage needs a lot of work. But you don't necessarily need to be a great 3-point shooter if you're a really good mid-range dude that can work around the basket and even catch lobs. Isaac Okoro hasn't really been able to do any of that. I don't know if I've even seen Isaac Okoro shoot a mid-range shot in his career. It's just not something you see the guy do. If you got a dude like Lamar Stevens at that starting 3, he can guard 1 through 4 6'7" type dude, really big as well. The dude's big, no homo. And then like you got, and then you got the great mid-range shooting and stuff as well. The only thing you can't do is 3-point shooting, but you should be able to make up for that when you've got K Love on the court, or if you've got DG and Donovan Mitchell right next to you. You don't need to be the greatest 3-point shooter out there. We've got shooters. I expect Dylan Windler and Jetty Osman to take strides this season as well. It doesn't look like either of them are getting traded anytime soon now. I do think the Cavaliers have the pieces. We just got to put it together, and we got to hope that the development furthermore continues. But yeah, as I'm saying, I legitimately think there is a case to be made that we could be a top 3 or 4 seed in the East. But yeah, the East is stacked, like you said. Like goddamn, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's gonna be a battle, man. If we make it 3rd seed or 2nd seed or even 4th seed, that was a huge season for the Cavs.
All right, one of the things I want to talk about too, and I can't remember if I talked about this with you or someone else, but it was on the Charlotte Hornets. Did I speak to you about how they were rumored to be wanting to move on from Terry Rozier this offseason, or rumors about the Gordon Hayward trade, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think we talked about the Gordon Hayward.
Yeah. Well, a question I wanted to ask you is do the Charlotte Hornets need to reset the team? And what I'm kind of like, for me to like elaborate on this right now, the big thing the Charlotte Hornets need to do in free agency was bring in an interior dude like a Miles Turner. I think just give LaMelo Ball a reliable 2, right? This and that. And they really didn't do anything. You know, Miles Bridges was not the reliable 2, as we've ended up finding out. Like, whatever Miles Bridges is off doing right now, I don't know. I still don't know where he is. I don't even know if he'll ever be able to even play again. I don't even know if the NBA's talked about suspension there yet. But they didn't bring in Miles Bridges as well. They ended up keeping Gordon Hayward, who they said the whole entire offseason they were going to trade. They didn't even find a new coach, really. They brought in the old coach from last time, like in Steve Clifford, the dude they sacked for not being good enough. They decided to, for some reason, give another chance to. The Charlotte Hornets did nothing of value. And, you know, when you were talking about earlier teams that are pretty bad, I actually wouldn't be surprised if the Charlotte Hornets are the 2nd or 3rd last team in the East. Because other than LaMelo Ball, there is nothing going on with this team. You got Terry Rozier, who's still there, doing really good, but there was already rumors they wanted to trade him. Gordon Hayward can only play half a year of basketball. They lost Miles Bridges, which was a huge loss. Like, people don't understand that Miles Bridges, he was winning them games at points, like legitimately winning them games. I remember when we played against the Hornets, he was like their best player, I'm pretty sure, one of their games. So you lose him. PJ Washington, I'm not too sure. They've been wanting to trade him all offseason. They brought in a coach who's no better than the last one they just had. Something tells me this is going to be a very rough season for Charlotte. And I honestly believe they're going to have to somewhat reset. We already know they want to move Rozier and Hayward on, this and that. What do you think? Am I onto something here? Do you think they could be a bottom 3 seed? Do they have to reset? Because seriously, I think even teams like Detroit have moved past them.
Yeah, I don't think they need a complete reset. I do think they have to now kind of put a little bit more pressure than what they probably wanted to or intended to, because with Bridges being out for however long, you have to pretend like he's not coming back. And because you got to pretend like that, you got to get LaMelo Ball help. You have to show him that you're willing to get him a competitive roster, because LaMelo Ball has shown us he is a competitive player. He's a good player. He's a star player who may very well be a superstar player. And how they talk about him, he could very well, when he get the opportunity to, he might be on his way to LA. You never know. But on the subject of that, do I think they need to trade Scary Terry? Actually, I wouldn't do that yet. I think they should actually keep him. You just got to get him on a reasonable deal. And I think Scary Terry's in a position where he probably would take that. I can kind of see him wanting to go elsewhere for the money. But when you look at the current climate of the NBA guards, is like for you to get that bag for a guard, you got to be a top 20 guard. You have to, like Schroeder's realized that really quickly.
He knew straight away.
He realized that really quickly. I do think Hornets, as much as we talk about Buddy Hield to the Lakers and all these teams, I think the Hornets should try to get Buddy Hield, not Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
That is the player that you have to talk about with the Hornets, because he's in a weird position, because in my eyes, I can see why the Hornets would keep Gordon Hayward, because he works. He's a veteran player who's ideally the perfect player for the Hornets. He's not demanding the ball. He can give you 20. The only problem is he may get hurt.
Yeah.
But when he does get hurt, he missed 30 games. He's like Anthony Davis.
Even more than that, I think his average is literally half the season. It is 40 games now. That's how many games he misses.
And that's a problem. Even though last season was pretty good for him, he didn't really start missing games to the tail end. But that's what really cost the Hornets for making a playoff, because they was actually a team that was more than likely going to make it in. I do think the Charlotte Hornets, now that they kind of see what works with LaMelo, they got to find a Gordon Hayward, but for cheaper.
Yeah.
They have to start developing their players now. Well, they really have to now.
Yeah.
But
well, the way Gordon Hayward was injured towards the end of the year, I have a big feeling this dude is probably not going to play more than 25 to 30 games. Something about it is telling me that this dude is nearly done. Like, he's on the verge of it, right? And if I'm right about that, I'm going to read you out their core. They've got Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, Mason Plumlee, LaMelo Ball, Cody Martin, PJ Washington, James Bouknight, Mark Williams, Kai Jones, Jalen McDaniels, and Nick Richards. That is a very, very young team with not a whole lot going on. That is a team that I think is going to need quite a bit of development. And when you compare that to what like Indiana and that have cooking up, like Indiana still have like, Chris Duarte, Benedict Mathurin, of course, Halliburton, who could be an all-star this season. Still a bunch of really good players like Miles Turner. They got Buddy Hield, as you said. I'm looking at that Indiana Pacers team, and I'm thinking, hold on a second. That could literally be better than that Charlotte Hornets team. Same thing goes with Detroit right now. Charlotte, I think, are in a really odd spot where they, I think, might need to just... There's not really a point of having players like Rozier and that on the team at the moment, because they know they're going to be bad. They know they're going to be, I think, a bottom 4 seed guaranteed in that East. You might as well just let players like Bouknight and that develop, who you drafted super high. But I guess it is a really tough one. They're in a really tough spot, because if Miles Bridges actually stayed on this team, this and that, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. We'd probably be saying they need to get that extra dude, and then they'll be a play-in playoff team, right? But Miles Bridges going, you're losing a dude that averaged you 22 points per game and was one of your best defenders. Not just that, you're practically losing Gordon Hayward now. I don't think Gordon Hayward is going to play much next offseason. The team did get drastically, I think, worse over this offseason. Their coaches know better than what they had. So I'm not saying they need to... What do you mean?
No, I said I agree.
Oh, yeah. And then what I'm trying to say is I would completely max extend LaMelo Ball and just try and get the top 5 pick, go into free agency, because I think they're going to have a fair bit of salary cap potentially too, especially if they move on from players like Hayward and that, and go and actually do something. So that's my call on it. I think a lot of Hornets fans probably agree. They just got really messed up by Miles Bridges. And I think one of his friends, who's like a rapper, said, if the Hornets don't give us the bag, we're going to Detroit. That's literally what one of his friends said. So something tells me Miles Bridges is probably never going to play in a Charlotte Hornets uniform ever again. just a little suspicion on it. But last thing I'll end off with is I was going to ask you as well, because there's a rumor going around right now that the Golden State Warriors are really, really keen on extending Jordan Poole. Looks like they're going to be offering him this deal, and they're going to try and get it done this offseason, and before the season starts. But we talked about this earlier, and apparently it's more and more happening. The Orlando Magic are now pushing more and more to try and get Jordan Poole to the team. We spoke about this a bit ago when they were just interested, but now it looks like they are extremely interested in trying to get him. Do you think the Magic should try and get Jordan Poole? Because the way I'm seeing it, if they want him, they're probably going to have to offer him around 25 to 30 million a year just to get him over, which is a massive overpay. Because apparently the Warriors are already willing to offer around 20 million. So, what do you think happens there?
We're gonna see. We're gonna see what type of time Jordan pull on. And honestly, I can see the Magic completely overpaying. I can see them giving him way more than that. I can see them messing around giving him 150 a year. I can really see that. I can confidently see that too, because he got a rent. Yeah, that's the most Orlando thing to do right now, especially if they're not sure on Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz and Jalen Suggs, and I feel like I'm missing a guard, which they've already shown they're not really sure about those minus Cole Anthony. That's probably the only one they kind of starting to see, those flashes. But I can see them one bad season away for Cole Anthony being in that same pool with the other guards they got. Like, they drafted 3 straight guards in the past 3 seasons. They got Markelle Fultz. They overpaid for Markelle Fultz. And then he got hurt, like literally a week after they paid him. So it's like the Magic right now is desperate. They just want anybody with a name good enough to get them to fill some seats. Like right now, they think anybody and when I say anybody could get them back to the playoffs, and they willing to risk it. I mean, I applaud them, but when you look at the Magic with the amount of guards they have, with the team so undecided, like it is so undecisive, like what this team construction is going to be. Like,
they've still got RJ Hampton as well. Like, Jalen Suggs might be running small forward at times next year. Like, I don't know who they want to start, and they've still got Franz Wagner they have to start.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you don't even know who you starting at small forward. You got
Jonathan Isaac's back now.
Yeah, you got Jonathan Isaac. You got Franz. You got Paulo. You got Paulo now. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you can probably pit them 3-4 or 2-3-4, but are you really gonna pit all 3 of them in the start rotation at the same time? Especially when all 3 of them has shown that they trying to get buckets, man. All 3 of them showed flash shoot. Franz Wagner dropped 41 times. You feel what I'm saying? Paulo, you drafted him with the aspiration that he's basically your next superstar. And then Jonathan Isaac, you paid him like he was going to be a potential star. So it's like...
And they brought back Mo Bamba. So what's going on there? Like, what's going on with their centers right there? And, people will be like, oh, you're hating on the Magic. You are hating on the Magic, this and that, right? Just because we're saying they're indecisive and they don't know what they're doing. To furthermore prove that, an hour before the draft happened, it was like set that they were taking Jalen Smith. Or Jabari Smith, whatever. I don't know why I said Jalen. Yeah, Jabari Smith. It was said they were taking Jabari Smith. 30 minutes until the first round pick. Apparently they changed their mind like that and they went Paolo Banchero. Out of nowhere. Like, no one even knew that was happening. I don't even think they knew it was happening. They were just like, oh, well, we're just going to swap this and go with him. And I remember seeing Banchero go number 1 and just thinking, whoa. Like, even though I do like him better than Smith, and he looked way better than Jabari Smith, it was still like a, whoa, that's a big out of the blue one that they've just done, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they for 1 pick. Like, since when does a number 1 pick try to pump fake 29 other teams that's not even going to be in the running for those 3 players? Like, come on. Like, that is the most Orlando Magic thing to do. Like, you're a number 1. Like, who? Like, we're gonna trick the league on this one. We're gonna make sure they don't draft a player. You're number
But they had
one.
number one. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
like you have number. It is no team. Even if somebody were to trade up, it is no team that could
could have taken
their
him.
way to get that play. Like it's like, man,
Oh,
Orlando. I don't think Orlando truly knows what they want. Like
no,
they
they
drafted
don't.
3 guards. You got 3 forwards. You don't know who you want as your center. You don't know if you want to go offensive or defensive. You don't know if you want to be balanced. You don't know if you trust the coach.
I'm pretty
you
sure
don't know if you want to go rebuild.
I'm pretty sure last season they had like one of the most like changes to their starting lineups. Like they always had a different starting lineup on the court. I think the Lakers were another one. The Cavs, we always had like a different small forward playing every single week. And at 2, we never knew who we were starting there. But Orlando at one stage, like you'd have this starting 5, but then the next week, everyone who was in your starting 5 last week are going to be on your bench this week. Like they didn't know who they wanted to start. They legitimately didn't know. And now you've got Markelle Fultz, who's back, who balled out, was easily your best player towards the end of the season. And now you're kind of like tricking fans into thinking there's some hope there. And you've got Markelle Fultz now, who has to be your starting point guard because all the Orlando Magic fans are like, this is the dude. This dude was our best player towards the end of last season. But the reason he was your best player is because you got no one else. You had no one else. Someone had to be the best player. And Markelle Fultz decided it was him towards the end of last season. But then what happens to Suggs? You cannot bench Cole Anthony because he's too good. Even though he probably is on a really, really, really good team, he probably is the 6-man type of prototype player. You can't do that on this Magic team. So that means you're going to have to bring your pick number 5 off the bench next season. Because you can't start all 3 because you got to start Franz Wagner, Banchero, and Carter as well, who balled out this season. You've got a very indecisive 11 or 12-man rotation, and I don't think they know what they're doing. Orlando surprisingly have one of the most diehard fan bases. Every time I make a video on the Magic, I'm always getting hate. Always getting hate. But we're telling the truth. Me and you are speaking the truth right now. And people will just choose to ignore that. But the reality is the Magic are probably going to be the worst team in the East next season. I don't even know if they know what they want. They could have pick 1 again next season and pump fake the league and not take Victor Wembanyama or whatever his name is and just take some random guard again. Because that's an Orlando Magic thing to do. Any final words on that one? Or have we covered it all?
I feel bad for Magic fans. That's all I say. God bless their heart, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those situations. But of course, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. Please go and subscribe to Relly's channel. We'll be linking it in the description down below. Like always, comment your thoughts and opinions on everything we've had to say down below. But yeah, as we were saying, and subscribe to the podcast channel. Clips coming out every day over there. I think we hit over 150 subs. I had a short that got over 8,000 views of Gideon getting a haircut at the tennis. Wasn't even my video, but I'll take the 8,000 views. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. I saluted with the wrong hand, so we'll do that.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, and